Hey, Lindsay, do you have wanderlust?
Do I have wanderlust? Well, these days, less than I did when I was 25. I will say
Ah,
that. But of course, I love to travel. And I think my wanderlust builds when I'm traveling. So when I'm traveling, I always tend to think about my next trip. So
yeah.
it's like what's that? Like a body
It's
in
a
motion stays in
yeah,
motion.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yep, yep, yep.
Inertia kind of thing. When you're out there seeing the world, you want to keep seeing the world.
It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So today we are going to answer a listener question that will lead to some fun conversations. So I'm excited for this one. But guys, yeah, wanderlust, if you aren't sure what that means you are craving just
Yeah.
going around the world. You want to see more. You don't want to be in the same place. You want to move. You want to travel. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure. What about you, Michelle? Do you have this right now at the moment, or is it stronger or weaker than other times in your life?
I have a lot going on in my life right now that like very much keeps my head there. So I do like I would say in general, I'm always in a state of wanderlust, but I would say I haven't had as much time to think about it lately, but probably in the next few months I will. Like for example, we don't have time to take a vacation this summer or not sure when we'll be taking our next vacation because there's a lot going on in my family, but
Yeah.
um, uh, so I'm going to be feeling it. So
Yeah, that drive to explore, it's such a natural human thing, right? We
yeah,
just want to
yeah,
explore. Yeah.
yeah,
But there was another episode that our listeners should probably check out, right?
yeah. This was a
And
fun one. Yeah,
yeah,
this
what
was
was that episode, Michelle?
2209. This was a fun one to plan. Was that on your bingo card? Two unpredictable English expressions.
We like that. We love the unpredictability of life and find out how to talk about it, right? If you go over that episode, guys, hit the follow button right now on this show and then go back and find that episode and listen in. Today's episode, though, Michelle, is inspired by one of our amazing listeners, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Super
Yes,
excited. We love it when
yes.
we get to answer your questions, guys.
We
Yes.
do. So this question was from Mar Lorraine.
Uh-huh.
I'll read it. The
Sure.
question is, can you talk about the difference between to wander? Sorry,
To
I did
wonder.
said the wrong one first. To wonder, to wonder and to wander, and how to pronounce them. Thanks so much for your podcast. Great question. Very specific. Love it.
Yeah. And, just as we stumbled over that, just reading the question, you can tell our listeners know this is a high level, stumbling block that we can get our
Yes.
listeners through today. So, wonder and wander.
Yeah.
So, it's a difference of just one word, one letter in terms of spelling, right, Michelle?
Right. Right. Exactly. So this is so great. So let's start with wonder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So wonder. So how do you spell wonder?
Yeah, let's start with the spelling because, guys, obviously, if you use the iOS Android app, you will see this, but if you don't, you might not. So we're spelling this first one Wonder. Okay,
Mhm.
good.
But it's pronounced wonder, like the number one,
Like
like wonder.
sound.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? This makes me
Yeah.
think of I hate to say it, but if any because I watch Sesame Street sometimes, but, like, I'm sure some of our listeners do as well with their kids. There's
Yeah.
something they go, "I wonder, what if? Let's try." I think that's
Oh,
Sesame
that's cute.
Street, but
Yeah.
yeah, but on that note, I wonder, right?
Uh-huh.
To wonder is to consider something, to think
Yeah.
about something. Um, so it's a verb, right? In this context, it's a verb. So sometimes I wonder if
Mhm.
I should have moved to a different city in my 20s.
Whoa, do you ever have that feeling that you moved to the wrong city? Nah, not
Well,
with New
no, I
York.
don't. No, no, I don't
Not
really
with
have
New
that.
York. I
No,
think
I don't know. Yeah.
that's why I'm glad I lived in New York. You probably feel similar, Michelle. Like,
Mhm.
it's one of those places where if you ever had an inkling you wanted to live and then you didn't do it,
Yeah.
that would be a regret, a potential
Yeah.
regret, wondering what it would
Yeah.
have been like, you
Yeah,
know?
I'm definitely glad that I've spent a lot of time in New York, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
been great. So, yeah, so to I wonder, right? Or what's another example, Lindsay?
I wonder if we would get better results if we did weights twice a week rather than once. And I mean
Mhm,
once a week. Yeah. Weightlifting,
mhm.
right? Mhm.
Weightlifting, yep.
Yes.
Or then you could even use it to just say you were considering something in it. I don't know, I just got stuck. But it says, so for example, I
Yeah.
was wondering if we could move our party to Thursday.
Yeah, this is a common phrase that people use when they want to invite someone out, let's say on a
Mhm,
date or an event. I was wondering if you're
I was
free on
wondering.
Friday.
Yeah.
I had a it's kind of strange. I had a one our original contractor that made our website back in 2014. He always used this phrase but in a professional way, and it always
Mm,
struck me as odd. He would write,
mhm.
he'd say, I was wondering if we could meet on Tuesday to fix the code, or I was wondering if you want to add your photo
Mm,
here and add text here. It was like
mhm,
it was a common pattern for him, and it felt
mhm.
strange because I see that as more of a social phrase, not so much a
Hmm.
professional. Just to say it so much, so repeatedly, it always struck me
Well,
as
that's the
odd.
thing.
Yeah.
Probably if he did once, he wouldn't have
Yeah.
thought of it, but
Yeah.
because it was repeatedly,
Right.
that's what happens. It also just makes me think of, do you ever hear somebody say, "Just wondering," right?
Yeah, sure, 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 sure.
If
Mhm.
yeah, so that sometimes if you for example, we could do a whole episode on this, but if I ask you a question like, "Oh, are you going on vacation in December?" And if you said, "Oh, I'm not really sure. Why?" I go, "Just
Just
wondering."
wondering. Right. Yeah, very and then a shoulder shrug, right?
Just wondering,
Yeah,
right? We don't
just
know the reason
wondering.
why. But
Yeah.
one oh my gosh, I'm getting them
Wonder,
confused.
wonder.
Wonder can also be a noun, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
according to the dictionary, so wonder is a feeling of surprise mingled with admiration.
Yeah, and
So, caused by
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Michelle, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep
No,
going,
no.
keep going. Yeah,
Caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. That's from the dictionary. So,
yeah.
do you use it in this way as well?
Yeah, it's important for our listeners to know that, yeah, this is different. It's spelled the same way, and I guess it's kind of in a way the same word kind of, right? It's the same
Mhm.
idea, like wondering, but a
Mhm,
sense
mhm,
of wonder. I do use it a lot. I mean, I feel it a lot.
mhm.
And, especially when I'm not so wrapped up in my head, this sense of wonder can fill us at any moment. I can
Yeah,
feel it when I'm walking my dog in the morning and the sun comes over the park and I look at the grass, there's some dew on the grass and it's just absolutely beautiful.
right,
That's a sense of wonder.
right. It's great when you have those moments. They're kind of very deep in a way, and it makes you feel a little bit refreshed, I think.
I'm sure for you being a mom,
Yeah.
all the time probably, right? And when you're not, like, pulling your hair out trying to get them out the door, then they're, it's
What are you talking
interspersed
about?
with
Yeah.
moments of wonder.
Yeah, yes, yes, wonder in all of the different ways that they could be used. A sense of wonder when I watch my kids walk, like,
Oh my
learning to walk,
gosh.
learning to talk is amazing, but then I also wonder how my son could just jump into a pile of mud
That's all
right
part of the wonder, Michelle. It's all
it's all
part
yeah,
of
the
the
wonder and
wonder.
wonder, yes, certainly lots of wondering in the noun and the verb form.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, even just having a child is such a thing, and I guess this is where the word wonderful comes from too, right? I never thought
Oh,
about it that
yeah.
way,
Yeah.
but wonderful is a little bit different because we take it in a very positive direction. I feel like a sense of wonder gives you this like, wow, just
Mhm.
reverence, like,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
wow, I just can't believe this. Like that
Mhm.
you birthed this child or you are
Yeah.
seeing this sunset or
Yeah.
yeah, it's really a cool thing about being alive, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
All right. So let's get into the wander.
Wander. Okay.
Now, how do we spell this one?
This is Wander, so only one letter different. We're switching the O for an A. So, but this is pronounced wander. So similar like to the word on, so that
Right.
on,
Ah,
wander.
Yeah, important, really important, guys, to differentiate here. Okay.
Yep.
Let's practice the pronunciation if we need to. Let's make sure we get it right because it could get us into some trouble in terms of people just being confused if we don't
Right.
pronounce them correctly. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. So to wander is basically to go around, you're moving around, you're walking around maybe, and you don't necessarily have a specific destination that you have in mind. So this
Yeah.
is a verb in this form, so you could say, "Oh, I'm gonna wander around the shops while you look for parking."
Yeah, right. Just wander around, right.
Mhm.
Or I love to wander around New York City on a beautiful spring day. Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
And then I did find that the dictionary mentioned it could also be a noun form, right? Like to have a wander, but I don't feel like I hear this
Mm,
as much. I feel like it's used more so as a verb. So like, but you could say, I mean, how does this sound to you? He took frequent wanders by the beach. He loved
yeah.
how peaceful it felt. Does that sound
No, I
right?
have a feeling that might be, I don't know. Our listeners have to check with a British teacher. That might be a British English thing or an Aussie English
Mm,
thing. That does not
could
feel
be.
natural to me as an American English speaker. So I would just
Yeah.
leave that one behind.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, do you ever just wander aimlessly in Denver?
Oh, I don't remember the last time. I used to do this a lot. Oh my god, in New York, my when I first moved there, my roommate and I, we had no money and we had no friends and
Oh,
we just had nothing to do. And so every night we would take the train down to we lived on East 88th Street, 88th and
okay.
Lexington. So we
Uh-huh.
would take the train down to like East Village, wander around the
Mm.
East Village, maybe get some really cheap falafel or something, and then we
Mm,
would wander. I guess it was less of a we'd wander around these village and then we'd wander uptown. We'd walk like 60 blocks
yeah,
up to
yeah.
88th.
Ugh.
And that was I guess it wasn't exactly wandering though, because we did have a destination. We were headed to 88th Street. Um,
I'm gonna say it counts as wandering.
okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
you weren't specific. I mean, yes, you were going home, but I still I'm gonna call it wandering, Lindsay,
Okay.
because I first of all, New York is I can't think of a better place to wander
Oh
around,
my
right? To
gosh, it's
wander around. I mean, you
so
just that's
good.
one of my favorite things is you don't have to have any plan. Just walk outside and just see where the wind blows you, wander, and you're gonna have a whole day of it, really. So,
You're
yeah.
gonna be entertained no matter
Yes,
what. It's really about
exactly.
the vibrancy, like, the diversity of the city, the characters, just the goings on that
People
you see.
watching.
Yeah, it's just incredible. That will be your entertainment for the evening, you know?
Exactly.
Uh
That's what I love about it. But I also wanted to bring up, guys, a recently, well, I guess a month or so ago, before this episode is going to air, I mentioned on Instagram that this episode was going to come out. And I told you to make sure to follow the
Ooh,
podcast so that
nice.
you know when this episode comes out. So now that I'm saying that, I also wanted to let you know to follow our Instagram because sometimes we give little updates there about
I
what's coming
know.
out.
Yeah, we don't mention our Instagram enough, right, guys? We're on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok. Go and find us over there. You get to see video updates, right? Multiple times a week. You get to see our team, giving
Mhm.
you updates, teaching you in a slightly different way than how you learn on the podcast and the YouTube channels, right?
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
exactly. All right. So, should we do a role play?
Yeah, let's get into it. I know our listeners love role plays. So is this cheesy? A little cheesy here? Cheesy role play?
We're just playing around with some of these, so you'll see what I meant by that note. But here we are. We are friends vacationing together, and we just checked into our hotel, and we're about to start our trip. All right, here we
Okay.
go.
Yes.
All right, ready to go?
Yeah, actually, I need about 10 minutes. Do you wanna wait or should I meet you somewhere?
I'll head downstairs and wander around the lobby.
Sounds good. I wonder if there's any good coffee shops nearby.
I'll go on a wander and see.
I am filled with so much wonder about this place already.
Okay.
Wow. Yes.
And
Yeah.
yes, Lindsay and I were laughing because I spelled the word meat wrong
Yeah, you
in the
you
in the
spelled it like
role.
the food. Yeah. Hey, look at that. Native
Whoa!
speakers make mistakes too. Nothing wrong with that,
Exactly.
Michelle.
So,
Connection, not perfection. Love
that's
it.
right. That's right.
So,
So,
what did we say here? Mhm.
So this is a perfect example of when these words might be used. You check into the hotel and, somebody needs a little time to rest. Are you usually the rester or do you need, if you check into a hotel, do you want to usually rest first? Or are you kind of ready to go even if you're tired?
Not when I first check in, when the trip is beginning, because yeah, that would come more like, on the day 3 or 4 after we've been really busy to start taking, like, a midday break. Like, when we went to Cambodia, I needed a rest between, like, a morning activity just because it was so hot and so dusty, so humid.
Mm,
But the first day, you're ready to go. At
yeah.
least I am usually. And if you fly to Europe from the East Coast or
Yeah,
from
that's
the
yeah.
Midwest, you can't rest because
Mhm.
you have to stay up all you arrive in the morning, you have to stay up all night. You actually shouldn't take a nap. I've made the mistake. Have you?
Yeah. Yeah, I've made the mistake as
Yeah,
well.
it's not good. No, 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 no.
It's hard. It's really hard. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
No,
yes.
you can't. In Portugal, when we were in Portugal last fall, we made that mistake. I think we did it. We checked in and then we just went to sleep for like 4 or 5 hours and we wake up at 6
Ooh.
PM and now
You're
you're
like,
messed up
"Yeah,
for 2
everybody,
or
let's
3
just ready
days.
to start the
You're
day." Yeah.
totally messed up. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no. All right, guys, that's a good tip, a good
Yeah.
jet lag tip.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, what do we say? So I said, "I'll head downstairs and wander around the lobby."
Yep, exactly. Wander around the lobby, very typical, right? Maybe it's a nice fancy hotel. There's a lot
Yeah.
to see. Get some water, the fancy, fruit
With
waters
the
they put
fruit. Yep,
out.
yep,
Yeah, the
yep,
fruit
yep.
waters. And then I said, sounds
Mhm.
good. I wonder if there's any good coffee shops nearby. That would definitely be my go-to. Also, looking for a coffee shop, trendy
Okay,
coffee
and
shop.
then I use this as a noun. So again, guys, we talked about this doesn't necessarily happen that frequently.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a part of American English, but I feel
Mhm.
like you could say this. Oh, I'll go on a
Sure.
wander and see. This is the part of the playfulness of the language.
This is kind of similar to lately I've been hearing more, "I'll have a think," and I know that's British. I know that c
Mm.
I mean, you studied in London, Michelle,
Mhm,
you
mhm,
probably
mhm,
could attest, like, I know
mhm.
this comes from British English, but I've
Yeah,
heard it inserting itself more into American English. "I'll have a think on it and get back to you," you know?
yeah,
So, I see that as this is similar, right? So, you're saying, "I'll go on a wander," to have a
yeah.
think, to go on a
Right,
wander,
right.
similar
Yeah,
construction? Yeah.
same idea. Yes, exactly. And then you said, what was the last one?
I said, "I'm filled with so much wonder about this place already," right?
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the kind of thing, yeah, if you when you're traveling, you're more likely to you're primed for this too, right? You're looking for it.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say is the most I don't wanna say wonderful because the meaning's a little different, right? But what is the, like, scene, the location that you found the most wonder in when you've traveled? Like, is there one place through your travels, Michelle, that you were just sitting in with a sense of wonder?
I'm gonna go ahead and say Japan.
Yeah,
I just because I remember so Dan and I had a joke because we were so in awe, right, which is another good word,
in awe.
of
Yeah, that's a good
like
one.
walking around Tokyo. Walking around everywhere in Japan, all the cities we visited, but I remember specifically walking around Tokyo, and we both guys that we're on YouTube now, so if you're on YouTube, you can see, like, we would just kind of be shaking our heads, because we were in wonder of how
Yeah.
amazing everything was, and but we were joking that because we kept on shaking our heads, maybe it looked like we were like, "No, no, not this place," or that we didn't like
Yeah.
it or something. Like, we're just, like, walking around shaking our
That's
heads, and I was
awesome.
like yeah, so but I would say Japan for a pretty easy answer. What about you?
For me, it's probably Egypt, because
Mm,
that's the oldest place I've been. I mean, just being in front of some of those incredible structures, the Valley of
yeah,
the Kings, the
wow,
pyramids just outside Cairo. I was just thinking about how old they are was
yeah,
unbelievable. That's why travel makes you feel small. It's good
yeah.
for us, right?
Oh, it's
Sit in that sense of wonder. Yeah.
I'm getting wanderlust just having this conversation,
You're
Lindsay.
getting wanderlust. Interesting. Yeah. So look at this. We're throwing in these words, mixing them back and forth. Guys, get the transcripts from today. You
Mhm,
can get them on the iOS or Android app. So you make sure you see each time we use these words, which one were we actually using, right?
mhm.
So go to
Yep.
allearsenglish.com/app. to get that.
Okay.
All right, Michelle,
Woo!
good
Awesome.
stuff.
I think that pretty much wraps it up. I
Yeah, that
think,
wraps it up. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
thanks for this question, and thanks for listening, guys.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.